Sure.
Condrick. What if you didn't have to drive to an auto service location and wait in the lobby while your tires were getting changed? Today's guest, Jay Condrick, owner of Boston Mobile Tires, is bringing tire services directly to the consumer. Jay, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mike.
So you built a mobile tire business around a pretty simple idea, right? Bringing the service to the people instead of them coming to the shop. Really excited speaking with you today because you're the first person that I've ever interviewed or spoke with that's an actual owner operator. So, what made you get into doing this?
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. You know, I was involved in the automotive industry. I was doing digital marketing for car dealers and for for the regional ad groups. I got involved in endurance racing with some friends, and I was doing tire work for our race team with an old machine. I started Googling tire machines, and I don't think one thing led to another, and I stumbled across a mobile tire franchise. They're since out of business. It was called Tread Connection, guys out of North Carolina, and they had one of those dramatic overproduced videos on their website where a van pulls out of a garage and the voiceover does the, what if the tire shop came to you? And it was really cool. It was slick, and I got excited about it. I showed it to my wife, who's a school teacher and very conservative. And she said, that's a great idea. I would do that. And so I started showing it to friends and family, and they all got enthusiastic about it. And, in a very rapid amount of time, I researched Tread Connection. There was another one that's still around called Go Mobile Tires. I spoke with Derek and Joe at Go Mobile. I met with the guys at Tread Connection. I rode with franchisees, and I ripped off the Band-Aid and started a business.
Thanks for sharing that. So, when we think of a independent shop versus the mobile tire operation, what are the, I guess, advantages or value prop that you would bring versus the traditional shop, other than maybe the obvious, the consumer doesn't have to leave their house?
Well, yeah, that's the number one driver. But I think I listened to your podcast yesterday with Mike Graber, and he talked about the counter, this dealing with the salesperson and selling over the counter and how important that was to Toyo. Frankly, I'm at a different counter. I'm at the kitchen counter oftentimes, or it's over the phone, and it's a whole different level of trust and relationship. People are inviting you into their home to service their car, and they've done enough research online to understand what mobile tire is, and that's why you're there. And it's just a whole different experience. I've been in enough car dealer showrooms and tire showrooms as a customer and on the other side of the desk, and there's always that I don't know, there's a thickness in the air, right? There's a lack of trust. And I get the opposite. People make me cookies. I get offered desserts, or it's just a whole different experience. So I think for both sides, for me and for the customer, it's a much more relaxed. They're working from home. There's not the pressure of I got to get the kids to soccer. Can you get this done in 5 minutes? Like they know, I'm there to do it. They're doing something else, and so I think the big advantage is the trust and the confidence that they get from having somebody come to the house.
Just to get in the weeds a little bit as you're speaking, I'm thinking about like from a logistical perspective. Let's say you book an appointment. How do you pre-vet and make sure that it's the right environment, right? I would imagine there's maybe a situation where you could share where you couldn't actually maybe perform a tire change because of the environment, meaning like there wasn't actually enough room, or can you maybe share a story of some of the
You know, there's always a way. I'll tell you. Yesterday, I got a call. A guy ordered a set of tires for a Nissan GTR. I've done a couple of GTRs. I didn't think much of it. It was like a 1980s GTR Nissan. It was lowered to the point that it was, practically scraping on the ground. It had a flat tire, which made it even lower. He had side skirts on it. So trying to get a jack under it, I mean, without damaging his side skirts, excuse me, say that 3 times fast. It was a challenge, but the customer was there. Again, I'm at his house. He a little bit of back and forth. we got some things and some pieces of wood, drove the car up onto that. They gave me enough clearance and I could get the car off the ground. So for the most part, I've had some challenging jobs in the city of Boston, apartment buildings, or people that are in dark, deep, their car is in an alley behind a brownstone in the South End, and getting a 23-foot long, 9-foot tall Ford Transit can be a challenge. But I've had to fold the mirrors in a couple of times, but I've been able to get there. Even Bunker Hill, the famous Bunker Hill Monument in Charlestown, I've been up to the top of Bunker Hill. And if you've ever been there as a tourist, it is tight, but we got it done.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, because I would imagine, so you're an owner operator, one van show?
Yeah, so I should back up. So when I mentioned the franchise thing, so when I first bought the franchise, and part of what sold me, so to speak, and I got to convince my wife that I could quit my day job, was that conceptually they had this framework where if they showed you on the Excel spreadsheet of like how much money you would make if you had 5 vans and 5 guys working for you, and it was pretty lucrative and looked like a great thing. And it was shortly after I bought the franchise that we discovered that the numbers weren't legit. They didn't work. It didn't pencil out. And so and I bought a lemon, right? So after, I don't know, a year trying it their way, I had to part company with them. I was hemorrhaging money. It wasn't going right. Very few franchisees were doing well, doing it their way. And we tried to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, and it just fell on deaf ears. And I parted company with them, rebranded as Boston Mobile Tire, and pulled my wife aside. I think it was April of 2021, and I said, we had a vacation scheduled for July 4th up in Maine. I said, give me till July 4th. Don't ask me how it's doing. Because it was bad, right?
Mm.
Don't ask me how it's doing, and give me 90 days to see what I can do on my own. And doing it my way turned it around. And but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to ask you about your contract, but from a scaling perspective, what are the biggest challenges that you see in the marketplace from a scaling perspective that is causing maybe a lot of the failures that you've seen? Or if someone's looking to start their own, what are the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome?
I think so. There's several of the franchisees that I worked with that we're all released from contracts. So the franchisor failed for a bunch of reasons, and we've all been released from contracts. There was no litigation. They knew whatever. But the guys that were able to grow, a few of them, there were some guys in the Charlotte area that each had their own van, and the 3 of them got together. They formed a Modern Mobile Tire. Those guys are running probably 7 or 8 vans now. They've got a brick and mortar location that they do some service work out of as well. But it's been hard for them to grow. Finding vans at the right price. I mean, we all bought brand new vans from the franchisee for 130 grand. Some guys paid more. That's expensive. The minute you buy it, again, it's worth whatever a Ford Transit is worth or a Mercedes Sprinter is worth. The tire equipment inside essentially doesn't add any value to it. So when you go to turn around and try to sell one of those things, unless you can find another guy that wants to run a mobile tire business, they're tough to get rid of. So that's finding a good van to run a business out of. I personally think that there's a lot of value to having a relatively new, my van's a 2019, but it's you can see a picture in the background. It's lettered up. It's nice and presentable and clean. It presents a very professional image when I pull up. I don't have an old pickup truck with a trailer and unmounted equipment sitting outside on it, right? It's a professional image, and I think that's the biggest challenge is buying vans to scale, and then finding the right people that you can put out in your $130,000 van who are going to go to someone's house, do the work, do it correctly, and represent you properly.
So when it comes to the consumer, shifting gears, and I guess one of the challenges of being an entrepreneur was getting sales, right? It's probably one of the most important aspects. Um, what do customers maybe expect, and then how do you make sure that your mindset shapes the way that you deploy a proper candidate experience and hopefully getting them the brand the loyalty and getting repeat sales?
Well, luckily for me, it's pretty easy. Um, I joke that I have a 300% retention rate, meaning
Wow.
that, I joke, but what I mean is that, I'll go do a tire job for someone, and I've never had anybody say, that was pretty good, but I think next time I'm going to go wait in the lobby at the tire shop. Right? They're usually blown away. And, I've been doing this for 5 years. And, just yesterday, two people were like blown away that they can't believe that, like, what a great idea. I've never heard
Mm,
of this before. So, just that, you know, people are awake to mobile services now. Like, there's a mobile dog grooming truck that goes up my street every day. I don't know which one of my neighbors is having their dog groomed, but then someone else picks up their dogs. And I've seen a mobile barber shop. There was a mobile dental imaging truck on my street the other day. Like, it's, people are aware that mobile service is out there, that it's available. They don't know, they all know about the windshield company. They didn't know, or they don't tend to know about tires until they start searching. And so so just the fact that we show up, we do the job, and we leave, that is almost enough to frankly convert people, to get them to do it again. I'd like to think, we try to be on time. We do a really nice job. I'm going to explain, and make sure that their tires are set at the correct pressure, and we're, torquing the lug nuts by hand, and we show them, that their tire pressure monitors are reset before we leave, and we, give them the opportunity to walk around and make sure that there aren't any scratches, and all of that. And I think, they appreciate that. Um, I'm doing the work, that I care about it, and that, it's my company, and, I've bent over backwards to make people happy, because it's the right thing to do. And,
mm,
and it's pays off in the 5-star reviews that I get. I don't solicit any of those, and yet I've got hundreds. You can look on any platform, Yelp or Facebook or, Chamber 5-star reviews, and it's
wow.
all, organic. I've never asked anyone to leave me a review. Oh, maybe my wife when I first started, but but other than that, it's just organic.
What are some top ways that you actually get new business?
Uh, you know, so early on, I, for me anyway, I started during the pandemic. I bought this franchise. They promised that they were going to do this soft open and a soft launch and a marketing blitz, and none of that happened. So I had to go to my roots. I do endurance racing. I belong to the BMW car club in the area. I had a Porsche at the time. I I reached out to that community, used Facebook, quite frankly, to, word of mouth. The new social media is the new word of mouth. So I used that platform, friends and family, asked everybody I knew to just tell everybody about this concept.
Mm,
And, and some knocking on doors with small businesses and just introducing myself. And it was a slow slog. The first year, I'm not going to lie, was tough. But, the second year, I got an inbound phone call from an Amazon. They're not franchisees; they're called delivery service partners.
mhm.
He had a problem, and I went and fixed his problem. They had ordered a bunch of tires online, I think from Amazon. They got the wrong weight code for their vans, and
Uh-huh.
they had they just the logistics weren't going to work out. And someone Googled, mobile tire businesses, found me. I showed up. I fixed, let's see, one of their TPMS lights was on, and the owner's brand new GMC Denali pickup. I fixed that for them. Uh, Pointed out that they had the wrong weight code tires, got them squared away and going in the right direction. And the next thing you know, I had 3 more DSPs from that location using me. And frankly, that propelled me for the next year,
Oh,
to,
wow, awesome. So you
you know,
found your niche in a sense with
yeah.
the Amazon helped you out. They're in the news a lot lately.
Yeah, although they so recently, well, April of last year, it might even be the year before, they ordered a national contract to Goodyear and Firestone,
Okay.
and Amazon. So it used to be the DSPs could say,
I
they were
could use
responsible
whoever.
for the tires.
Yeah.
Now Amazon pays for it, but it only they only do it to the company
Mm.
stores. So I got cut out.
Sorry to
That,
hear.
that's all right. But it's
So
been, I've been big enough so I was able to absorb the loss with, other business.
something that I'm thinking about is cost. So obviously, I know from a consumer perspective, me leaving my office costs time and money, right?
Yeah.
So not having to do that and paying whatever the difference is probably makes a lot of sense. But what are the costs like typical versus going to a traditional shop for your average vehicle? How much higher is it for your average mobile versus traditional shop?
I probably should raise my race. It's oftentimes I'm not higher
Really?
when you do the all in. Yeah, it blows me away. Frankly, it
It
blows me
sounds like
away.
you should raise your rates.
Well,
But would you say the industry average is the same as well, or you don't have that intel?
No, I think so. First of all my tire pricing is at MAP, market adjust,
Sure.
market advertised price. So if someone goes online to Tire Rack and looks up a Pirelli or a Goodyear tire and it's $212.99 on their site, it's going to be $212.99 on my site. I
Mm.
don't want to give people a reason to buy the tire from Tire Rack. I'm happy to install Tire Rack tires. I do it all the time. I think I've got a set of 4 out in the driveway now for a Tire Rack dropped off. But in general, if I can, if I'm going to go there and install 4 tires, I'd rather pick up the extra $100 that I might make with 4 tires, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Why not, right? So, we do that. So if anybody looks online, and again, out here, Sullivan Tire is a big retailer. They've got 100 locations. Town Fair, I don't know, they've got 100 locations. Mavis is newish. They used to be NTB. That I don't consider those guys a competitor. A Monroe, that's a lower level of service than I offer, and but even so, I'm competitive, like within $100 on a set of tires. For you get a $2,000 bill and they're 2,000 and $1,900, and I'm 2005. It's like,
So this is just an anecdotal my experience. I would say that enough of the market doesn't even know this option really even exists, right? If I think of my own circle of friends and family, if you're saying that it's that close in pricing, I know many probably that they just don't know the local J or is even an option, right?
right, absolutely. And again, I've installed tires, and after the fact, looked like Nokian, for example. For whatever reason, I'm pretty aggressive on the pricing on that stuff. Sullivan and some of the other guys are higher priced than that, and oftentimes on a set of those, I'm even after my labor rate's a little higher. I charge $50 to mount and balance a tire. If you walk into a shop, that's what they'll charge you.
Mm.
If you're buying tires there, it might be, I don't know, 39. Up here, I mean, the Monroes of the world might be 29. Costco is, using quotes, free. But they've got a different business model, right? You're going to go to Costco, you're going to go spend $500 on stuff you don't need while you're waiting for your car to be done. And it's a win-win for them, and, maybe for you too. But I have a different model. So
What are your shifting gears to the actual talent side of the house and the industry as a whole? The true machine of our industry and are the techs, right? The folks like you that are actually putting on the tires on the vehicle. And it just always seems like we're just in this constant shortage as an industry. We have a very high turnover rate. What are your thoughts on that topic overall?
well, I think a lot of that, the tire work is treated as the, I don't know, can I say redheaded stepchild in the shop, right? It's the entry level. You do oil changes and tire work. The shops don't typically pay well on it, so the guys aren't. It's not what they enjoy doing. They don't make money on it. The shop might make a couple of bucks. They oftentimes are offering tire service as a, I don't know, a loyalty program, right, to keep people there, right? Versus, and I don't hide the fact that I am trying to earn a living, right? And I need to pay myself enough that I want to do the work, and so I have to charge accordingly. And I, that being said, I don't give things away, but I'm not, I'm less expensive than the Porsche dealer. I'm less expensive than the BMW dealer oftentimes. So it's a fair price for a high level of service, high quality, and So, but back to every shop doesn't treat it that way, right? It's that entry level kid that's doing it. I've got a regional manager for it's one of the M franchises in the auto service industry, right? It might be Midas, might be Meineke. The regional manager has me do his tires because he's watched a technician scratch his forged wheels,
Hmm.
his Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. And the tech shrugged and said, well, this machine isn't very good. And like, that's just sort of like, that's acceptable at that shop. I've lost sleep over the idea that I would scratch someone's wheels. Like I have a $15,000 tire machine in my van. I'm meticulous and methodical about it, and would have a cow if I ever scratch someone's wheel. I wouldn't. So that's why he uses me to do it. I've had I have a lot of experience with that, and I did tires for someone today. He brought it to a really high-end shop. He paid a lot of money to have his tires balanced. They're not balanced, and there was weights all over the place. It was crazy. So
Yeah. So yeah, when you scale anything, it's having quality control is not everything is going to be perfect, right? There's always going to
right.
be, but obviously they're achieving some sort of high quality of service because it's what's gotten them this far, right? So overall, I'm sure these companies are performing well. But that being said, um, what's stopping some of these major chains from really deploying units like yourselves on mass scale? Is it maybe that what you're talking about? I mean, I imagine the fixed cost of a van's also pretty expensive, right? If you're saying it's 130K fixed cost per unit. Um,
I don't think that's the real barrier for. And I'll not pick on Sullivan. I'll mention Sullivan, which is a large, well-respected chain. I've sent customers there if I can't get to them myself. They're a vertically integrated. I use their wholesale division. They're now an employee-owned company. I think highly of them. I had a conversation with one of their executives one time. I was actually down at their warehouse picking up tires. I don't typically go to the warehouse myself, but a guy stuck his head out the door, and he was a higher level guy, and we were talking about it, and he said they'd never get into mobile because they know if they open a brick and mortar location, they know how much they're going to make. They've
hmm,
got a recipe, they've got a formula. It's worked across 95 or 100 locations. They know it, and if they're going to dump money, that's what they're going to do. Mobile is like I don't know, it's a party trick. It doesn't make sense to them. They don't
Gotcha.
see how it works, right? And so, and frankly, I don't think there's a lot of evidence in the industry. I can tell you that I did 50 grand in retail sales, and I made 20 grand last month, right? But what is in gross profit? But how would that look if I had 10 vans or five, right?
Sure.
Or yeah, the private equity guys and the CFO types, they just, it doesn't, I don't know. It's not a proven model yet. So
But the consumer loves the ideal of not having to leave their house, right? So obviously, if
blown away. I
it
mean,
could be
I
scaled to someone, I'm sure it's being attempted. I know, obviously, some of these companies we've seen already come and go.
yeah,
But when I think of Gen Z, so Gen Z, they're the youngest part of the workforce, but they actually make up 20% of the current workforce. These are a lot of the entry level techs that are coming in, right, and leaving. But one thing that they love is flexibility. So this is a potential route for them to maybe look into, right? Or maybe someone more senior that obviously maybe they don't want to stay in the shop for the next, let's say, 10, 20 years as they wrap up their career. Someone that's looking to maybe start an operation like this, what would you say are some of the first steps? Obviously, there's that big first cost, right? But
yeah.
there's
Well, first of all, I think you got to walk in the shoes a little bit. I would encourage anybody that is thinking about it. I've had people reach out to me randomly, and I always, I have an open door policy. You want to ride around in the van with me for the day? You want to sling tires, you could run the jack if you want. I'm happy to have it. And I've had a couple of folks take me up on that, and they are running successful businesses. One guy's up in Maine, another guy down in Connecticut. But if you were in my backyard, I'd be the same way. There's so much business out there. I have such a tiny slice of the market. What I'm doing, there's another guy with a few vans, like a few miles from me. Neither one of us bump into each other. There's so much business out there. So I guess first thing is make sure it's right for you, right? Are you really cut out for the business? I saw somebody sent me one of those TikTok-y meme things the other day, and it was like it was called Blue Collar Job Interview. I think if you Google it, you'd probably find it. And the first question was, how do you feel about a 60-hour work week? This is the hiring guy, and the blue collar guy says 60 hours. I don't want to work part-time. And the guy gives him the thumbs up, and that's part of it. I don't work 60-hour weeks typically, but I did 12 yesterday. I did 12 the day before. I'm going to work this Saturday. It's that time of year. So, are you cut out for that? I do have a lot of flexibility in that I'm an owner operator. If I do need to take time off, even in a busy time of year, if I want to be in a podcast on a Thursday afternoon, I shut my calendar off and people can't make appointments. And that's the flexibility that I have that I really value and appreciate. So, if that makes sense to some people, it's hard work. I'm not going to lie. It's not a hybrid remote job, right? This is not laptop. It's hard work, but I really enjoy it. It's very fulfilling. Again, the customers just love it, which makes it, that the reward loop that you get is every 45 minutes to an hour when you finish a job, they go, wow, thank you, and, so that it's hard to put a value on that part of it, but that's, the guys that work in shops that they're churning out tires, they're in the back, they got the compressor going all day, there's somebody playing bad rap music next to them out loud, I don't know how they do that in a garage all day long. I go to multi-million-dollar estates. I go to private car collections. I go to Amazon warehouses, but everything's unique and different every single job all day long.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So looking ahead, where do you see really the mobile tire service going? Any changes in the next 5 to 10 years, or you think it's going to stay relatively the same? Any
I
robots, AI robots coming to help you
Yeah,
out?
you know, um, I've actually seen. Well, so you probably there was a startup that has since gone under. I think it was called RoboTire. I think Discount Tire Direct put one in one of their locations. Right, it was a robot that would change tires. The company's out of business now, but I remember seeing that, thinking like, hey, wait a minute, if you could put a robot in the back of a van, and then use AI to drive around it. Yeah, I guess in theory, right? I
Mm.
don't think I don't think that's coming. And I think AI. I like to joke that when people will call me and they say, "Oh, ChatGPT said I should get the Continental DWS-06." I'm like, "Okay, well, that's AI. Actual intelligence says, yeah, you should too." And I'm actual intelligence when it comes to tires, right? Not artificial, but it is helpful. It's helped me. I've ChatGPT, marketing ideas or images or whatever, right? But I think you're seeing the car dealers are waking up to mobile service. The Ford dealer near me advertises they do mobile service in a typical car dealer way. If you go to their website and try to book mobile service, you can't. And there is a van outside that says mobile service on it.
Well, sticking up for Ford, so I actually have an F-150, and they will come to my house, pick it up, do the service at their station free of charge, totally included, and bring it back.
Wow.
Yeah, I was blown away by that service.
Yeah. Well, again, honestly, preparing for this, I actually went, I looked around at a couple of the local Ford dealers. And again, if you Google, I mean, it's a great idea. I think they're only doing tire rotations from what I can tell and
Yeah,
oil changes. But
yeah.
anyway, it was, listen,
But
I'm a
to pay
single.
the guy to come 2 guys, right? Because someone has to actually drive the other person there to pick up the vehicle. Obviously, it's a new vehicle, so the cost is something probably built in with Ford, but it's a huge cost when you think about it.
Right, right. Again, that being said, I have plenty of customers, with, I don't know, 911s or an M5. they're not going to let somebody put that on a flatbed and take it out of their
For
site.
sure. Yeah.
They much prefer that it's in their garage. They don't watch me like a hawk, but they like the knowledge that it's there. It's not going anywhere. There's not that scene from Ferris Bueller's Days Off where the technicians are doing 190 miles an hour on a back road in their vehicle.
But to finish the thought around AI and tech changes, so from my desk, what we're seeing is a lot of the disruption is more on actually the tech job. So junior software engineers, these folks coming out of school are actually the ones anecdotally are having the issues finding work. And if you look at a lot of these layoffs that we're seeing, like Amazon just had, these are corporate level positions that supposedly AI is replacing, right? I think some of the safest jobs are the job the job that we're talking about today. These blue collar quote unquote roles are extremely difficult for the machines or robots at their current state to ever replace. Plumbing, mechanics, electricians,
Yeah,
all kind of putting it in that same bucket. So anytime I speak to someone in Gen Z that's not sure if they even want to go to college, I always really encourage them to really look at the trades because there's amazing potential and really AI can enhance the roles there, but I don't really think they're going to be replaced anytime soon.
I agree, and I will tell you, my I have 6 kids.
Oh wow.
It's a Brady Bunch deal, right? My wife and I, she's got 2 girls and a boy. I have 2 boys and a girl. And one of my sons, who loves to say that he was a 5-time recipient of Employee of the Month from Boston Mobile Tire. He's worked with me a couple of summers, and he got his master's in education. Was going to be a school teacher. Did his student teaching, and then had a change of heart. Decided to do something else, and worked again with me last summer. With a graduate degree in his back pocket. And I think I incentivized him to go into the workforce, to put his education to good use. It's hard work for the right person. People dumb like me, it's a great career and a great opportunity, but it's not for everybody. And but again, one way to find out is to actually try it. And I'm always open to have anybody join me anytime they want.
Well, Jay, yeah, thanks for having this conversation with me. So, on that point, if anyone did want to do a ride along or needs a service by you, what's the best way to actually reach out to you?
BostonMobileTire.com, on our website. And again, I'm proud to tell you that, being the little guy, there's a schedule service button. You can buy tires. You can see all of our services. There's a video that gives a little bit of background on me and how I got into this whole world. And I'm always available. I answer my phone, much to my wife's chagrin, 7 days a week from about 5 a.m. till about 8 p.m. After that, I have to shut it off. But, text me, call me, email me. I'll answer.
Well, thanks again, Jay, and good luck out there. I think we're going through a storm today.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Bye bye.